Live from the Vodafone Gigabit Broadband Studio in Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. The government's committed to funding the relocation of Waterford train station. A mother and son are being questioned in connection with the abduction and torture of Kevin Lunny. All Together now announce Iggy Pop as its headline act for 2020. And in sport, Waterford's Leo O'Connor will make his senior debut this evening as the Republic of Ireland welcome New Zealand. The Department of Housing, Planning and Local Government has agreed to fund the relocation of Waterford train station. Local Oireachtas members confirmed the news following a meeting with Minister Eoin Murphy this morning. It will form part of a transport hub for the North Quays project. Sinn Féin TD David Cullinan says they asked for €39 million for this part of the plan.
Eoin Murphy has said to us today that his department has now signed off on that funding element of the plan. They recognise that the project is important. They recognise that there needs to be movement on this to give certainty to the developers and to Waterford City and County Council to start planning. And that means that the substantial elements of the funding in terms of moving the train station, the pedestrian bridge, the access roads are now falling into place. And while he still puts a caveat that there is some funding needed from Irish Rail and from the Department of Transport on signalling issues and for some transport-related issues as well. I think the intention is that department will also give the appropriate funding.
Minister John Halligan says talks are ongoing.
Negotiations are taking place at present with the Department of Transport and Pascal O'Donoghue's department, but it has now been confirmed that the money will be made available to move the train station, which is a big plus and a big move for the further development of the North Quays.
A mother and son are being questioned in connection with the abduction and torture of Kevin Lunny. They were arrested earlier this morning, along with another man, following the attack on the Quinn Industrial Holdings director 2 months ago. Sean O'Regan reports.
2 men aged in their 20s and 40s were arrested this morning and they can be held for questioning for up to a week. Meanwhile, a woman in her 50s was also arrested by Gardaí. She can be detained for up to 3 days. These arrests are one of the most significant developments in the investigation into the attack on Kevin Lunny to date. Mr Lunny was found on the roadside in Gavin on the 17th of September after he was abducted outside his Fermanagh home. The 50-year-old father of 6 was slashed with a knife, doused with bleach and branded by his attackers. Directors at Quinn Industrial Holdings have been subjected to a 5-year campaign of intimidation. Yesterday, Justice Minister Charlie Flanagan rejected claims that Gardaí have been turning a blind eye to conflict in border areas in recent years. There has been criticism of the Garda response to the intimidation before the abduction and torture of Mr Lunny.
The Minister of State for Mental Health says he plans to visit the Department of Psychiatry at University Hospital Waterford. It follows a meeting between Minister Jim Daly, Waterford TD Mary Butler and Fianna Fáil spokesperson on mental health James Brown. Earlier this month, photos emerged of patients sleeping on floors and chairs in the unit due to overcrowding. Fianna Fáil Deputy Mary Butler says Minister Daly admitted that additional beds won't be achieved in the short term.
The Minister admitted that in principle it is accepted that Waterford and Wexford, that area, there's a shortage of 20 beds. However, he did say to us that's a long-term ambition, it's not a short-term ambition, and that would be looking at a minimum of 4 years, even if they could get the capital funding for it. So he said in the short term there won't be any extra capacity introduced. Now, we also addressed the issues with him in relation to the fact that the aftercare is not of a standard it should be, and in some instances when patients don't receive the correct aftercare, they end up going back into the unit, and that he said that was something they would certainly look at.
The HSE isn't investing in any extra acute beds in hospitals this winter. Much of its €26 million plan for the season will be spent on home care packages and moving people out of hospitals. The measures are aimed at avoiding overcrowding. 679 people were waiting on trolleys on one day last week, the highest this year. Anne O'Connor, Chief Operations Officer with the HSE, says they want to bring that number down.
I suppose our goal is to keep it below the 500 on a busy day, and we absolutely try and keep it more in the zone of the 300s and lower 400s in the winter time. But that is a symptom of other things. So for us, the trolley figure is very important, and we monitor it because it tells us how many people are in our services. But actually, the very important measure around that is the length of time that people are on trolley while they're receiving care.
Marshburn Institute of Technology has announced a groundbreaking partnership with the Erie Innovation District in Pennsylvania. Erie is twinned with Dungarvan since 2007. The presidents of both organisations signed a memorandum of understanding to formalise the partnership. Professor Willie Donnelly says it's good news for Waterford and the South East.
We're linking up to a incubation centre in Erie, which is in Pennsylvania in the US. The whole idea is that we can share resources, so American companies that want to come over to Europe, if they want a footprint in Europe, they can use our facilities, they can establish themselves in the Arc Labs Incubation Centre. And likewise, if there's Irish companies that are in Arc Labs, or even companies anywhere in the southeast, if they want to establish a footprint in the States, now we have this infrastructure in Erie which they can access.
Danny Healy-Rae is calling on the government to introduce a drink driving permit. Speaking in the Dáil, the independent TD is suggesting people living in rural Ireland should be allowed to drink on certain roads after having a couple of pints. Taoiseach Simon Coveney says the idea is irresponsible and nonsense. But Deputy Healy-Rae says it will help with rural isolation.
I'm asking you to provide a permit for the people who are only travelling on local rural roads, class 3 roads, so that they can have their 2 points and drive home on these roads. If they stray beyond these roads, then nail them, but give them a chance to live. All work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy.
The National Women's Council has launched a new report explaining the barriers for women getting into politics. Just 1 in 4 county councillors elected in May is a woman. On Waterford's 32-seat council, there's just 2 female councillors. Director of the NWCI, Orla O'Connor, says female councillors were subject to sexist comments when out on the campaign trail.
Things like being told, why would a nice girl like yourself want to get involved in such an unpleasant job? Women being told that they were not the idea of a female councillor. Women in the report cited the fact that, they faced continuous sexist behaviour on the doors, and some also talked about the racism that they experienced on the doors, whereas men did not have those experiences.
Iggy Pop will headline All Together Now 2020. Organisers of the festival at Curramore Estate in Portlaw made the announcement this morning. Known as the godfather of punk, it will be Iggy Pop's first Irish performance in 12 years. The third All Together Now will take place across the August Bank holiday weekend next year. A West Waterford food producer has been recognised with 2 awards. Knockanore Farmhouse Cheese picked up gold and silver at the Cosh Irish Cheese Awards. They also won at the Listowel Food Fair. Eamon Lonergan spoke to WLOR's Kieran O'Connor.
Believe it or not, I suppose in the intervening years we didn't really either enter or we were busy growing the business or whatever, and then in the space of 1 week we get 2 awards. So back in 2019 this year we decided to enter our cheese, and there we go,
You can hear the full interview with Eamon on Farm View after the 6 p.m. news.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin Whelan. Starting with soccer, and Republic of Ireland manager Mick McCarthy is hoping his fringe players impress in tonight's friendly against New Zealand at the Aviva. Kieran O'Hara, Waterford's Leo O'Connor, Jack Byrne and Troy Parrish will get their first starts in green, while Kieran Clark plays for the first time since last September. Tremore's Derek Williams is also included in the Irish defence, making his 3rd international cap. McCarthy says it's an opportunity for everyone that plays this evening.
I'd like to see Troy play well, of course. I'd like to see Jack Byrne. He's starting for the first time. See what Leo O'Connor does. And of course the other lads who are backing up. You have no idea if somebody would become ill, anything, and miss the game. Who knows? So, there's always an opportunity for somebody else to get a game.
Leo O'Connor's proud dad Noel spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daysha today earlier.
Oh, we get excited, Damien. Exciting times. A big match tonight. Big thrill for Villa and for our family and for Waterford to have Lee in the squad. And starting today, it's a major milestone in his career. At 19 years of age, his first senior cap for Ireland.
And kick-off at the Aviva is at 7:45. It's 0-0 between Armenia and the Republic of Ireland in their Under-21s European Championships qualifier. Stephen Kenny's Group 1 leaders are looking to bounce back from their defeat to Iceland last time out. Newcastle defender Oisin McEntee has put the Under-19s 1-0 up away to Switzerland. England play their 1,000 international tonight when they take on Montenegro in a Euro 2020 qualifier. Gareth Southgate's team will seal their place at Euro 2020 if they avoid defeat in that one. afternoon. Newcastle captain Jamal Lascelles has been ruled out until the new year. He suffered a knee injury in Saturday's 2-1 victory over Bournemouth. It's the turn of the Munster Junior Club Championships this weekend, with 2 Waterford sides in action. St Mary's will welcome Limerick opposition to Field on Saturday afternoon for a 1:30 throw-in when they take on Castletown Ballygran. That one, St Mary's of course captured their first county title with victory over Ballydurn a fortnight ago. Meanwhile, Ballyduflor return to action this weekend when they travel to Limerick to take on Croom in the provincial quarter-final. That one takes place also on Saturday afternoon in Bruff and is underway at 1:30pm. Ballyduflor manager is John Carey.
Yeah, no, we did. I suppose the county win was a huge task for us to win. But I suppose when we were building up to the county final, we were saying, look, we weren't really, the county final was the be all and end all. But to be honest, when we won it on the Sunday after the match, we were kind of very much the attention turned then to trying to represent the Waterford well and putting our best foot forward for the county in representing them for the Munster Championship.
And in golf, Padraig Harrington has opened with a 1-under par round of 71 at the Nedbank Challenge in South Africa. Home favourite Louis Oosthuizen leads by 3 strokes there at 8 under par through 16 holes. Race to Dubai leader Bernd Weisberger is 1 over after 14. And Scottish golfer Katrina Matthew has been named the European captain for the 2021 Solheim Cup. The 50-year-old also held the role at this year's tournament. Her side produced a dramatic final day comeback to beat the USA at Gleneagles and regain the trophy. That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin is at 2.